Fans of Law & Order hold a special place in their heart for actor Jerry Orbach. For 12 years, he gave one stellar performance after another as Detective Lenny Briscoe on the long-running show. So fans were shocked when it was announced Orbach would be leaving at the show's 14th season, because while the show has had a long-running tradition of rotating cast members, Orbach had become a staple and fan favorite. In this video, we're taking a look at why Orbach left Law & Order, as well as going over some interesting elements of his life and career. Join Facts First as we present the sad reason Jerry Orbach left Law & Order forever. Why Jerry left the show. When it was announced that Jerry Orbach was leaving Law & Order, fans were surprised and a little confused because the announcement included the fact that he would join the upcoming spinoff Law & Order Trial by Jury. So it didn't appear as if Jerry was retiring or that he had grown tired of acting in a crime procedural. It seemed odd he would leave Law & Order after 12 years just to start up another show in the Law & Order universe. But as people later found out, the switch had very little to do with Law & Order beyond it being an intensive work schedule that became increasingly hard on Orbach. The truth was that Orbach was struggling through prostate cancer and actually had been for a decade. He had not gone public with his illness, but it had been slowly getting worse over the years. By the time he made the move to the spinoff, the disease had progressed to the point where he was struggling to get through the shooting schedule of the original show. So producer Dick Wolf tried his best to accommodate Jerry's diminishing ability to stand up to the rigors of shooting. As such, he felt the shooting schedule of the new show would be better for Jerry. It would require a lot less time and energy, but allow him to keep working. Orbach felt it was important to stay busy even as he suffered through his illness. He worked until the end. Sadly, Orbach only lasted for 2 episodes of the new show. His cancer had progressed to the point where he was too weak to speak. This made it impossible for him to continue shooting, and sadly, he died shortly after filming the 2nd episode. The cast and crew had a deep love and respect for Orbach, and this was no more evident than in a gesture they made for the filming of his final scene in the 2nd episode. At that point, Orbach could barely raise his voice above a whisper, yet the episode called for him to utter his famous line, "They got him," at the end. Normally, he would say it with full-throated gusto, but in this case, that wasn't going to be an option. So the creative staff got together and figured out a workaround for Orbach. They shifted the final scene to be located outside a courtroom. This was so the characters could all whisper their final conversation, and it wouldn't seem strange, since people are supposed to stay quiet when standing outside a courtroom. The other cast members loved this idea. It allowed them to still perform the scene with Orbach, but didn't call for him to speak above a whisper, so they all whispered their lines. To viewers, it might have seemed like a simple choice of not wanting to disturb what was going on inside the courtroom, but it was only revealed later that it was actually a gesture to accommodate Orbach's illness. Orbach's long illness. Jerry Orbach was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 1994. This terrible news came just as he was getting settled into the rhythm of Law & Order, as the show became a hit. Not wanting to ruin the show or his chances to stay on it, Orbach decided he wanted to keep his illness a secret, not only from the general public but also from his co-workers. The disease came and went in varying stages over the next decade. But that means Orbach was fighting prostate cancer nearly his entire time on the show. It shows you the caliber of actor and the type of man he was. He was a consummate professional and remained stoically committed to performing his role on the show. The extent of his illness wasn't revealed until only a handful of weeks before he died, so it came as a shock even to the people he worked with every day. Dick Wolf may even have not realized the extent of Orbach's illness because he made an announcement saying he expected Orbach to make a full recovery. He announced the show would arrange its schedule around Orbach's treatments. Sadly, things had progressed too far for Orbach to make the kind of recovery that Wolf and the rest of the Law & Order team was hoping for. Orbach's generous donation. Jerry had the rare gift of maintaining 20/20 vision all of his life. He felt this was a perfect opportunity to help others after his death. He decided to donate his eyes to people who needed them. A patient with extreme nearsightedness was given Jerry's cornea, while another patient with farsightedness got his other cornea. These recipients were able to have a corneal transplant operation to receive Orbach's corneas and have the benefit of his perfect vision. Oddly enough, this wasn't a decision Orbach made right at the end of his life. In 2004, his widow, Elaine, told the Daily News it had been a long-time wish of Jerry's. She said she couldn't remember a time when he didn't have a desire to help others with the gift of eyesight upon his death. She elaborated that Jerry believed in the continuation of the body via gifts like organ donations and transplants. He felt it was the ultimate gift to give, taking a body part that's still working and allowing someone else to use it for their continued health. She said the thought of it made Orbach intensely happy, so it was no surprise to her that after he died, 2 lucky people were given the gift of sight, courtesy of Jerry Orbach's generosity. Dispute over Orbach's estate. There has been a lot of contention about Orbach's estate in the years since he passed. It started when his 2 sons were seemingly cut out of his will. In 2008, it was revealed that trusts that were left to them were organized in a way that their stepmother, Orbach's wife Elaine, was not only allowed to take interest accruing in the trusts, but was also allowed to remove as much of the principal amounts as she needed. This meant the money theoretically set aside for Orbach's sons was essentially being given to Elaine. This didn't sit well with his sons, who also accused Elaine of giving away their father's eyes after his death. Clearly, they felt Jerry had not made the decision to donate his eyes, and Elaine had made the decision for him. Orbach's son Chris wrote a letter to Elaine that was unintentionally made public, but in it he accused her of being a double-dealing, lying, scheming, miserable fool who essentially stole all of the $10 million in Jerry's estate. Chris claimed to only have inherited a few items like CDs and sweaters, while Elaine took the money. Elaine disputed these claims, saying she had no idea why Chris was accusing her of such things. She passed away in 2009, and what remained in the estate wound up going to Jerry's sons. Then, in 2014, there was even more dispute regarding his estate. Before he died, Jerry had added a friend and accountant, Patricia Black, as executor of a Chase bank account he had. Years later, Black was ousted from the position by Elaine. After Elaine's passing, her sister Rita became the new sole executor. Reportedly, Rita was trying in vain to have Black fully extricated from the account, but no one could reach Black. The primary issue is that the bank refused to allow anyone to withdraw money for fear they'll give it to the wrong person, opening them up to liability of being sued. So, by virtue of not responding to legal phone calls and letters, Black has essentially tied that money up indefinitely. And while it's not known how much is in the account, it appears to be enough for people to be fighting over. It's also not clear if the issue has been cleared up in the years since this began in 2014. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know Jerry Orbach donated his eyes to people in need after his death? Let us know in the comments section below.